What's going on, boys? Quinn69 here. How are you guys doing today?
If you haven't guessed it already, today I'm going to be bringing you guys a video on all of the Ret Paladin changes and what's been going on with Ret Paladins on the Alpha. Because they just pushed a big patch. And there's been some pretty big changes. Let's be real here. AKA, we got Hammer of Wrath back. It's not where I'd like it to be just yet, but we got Hammer of Wrath back. We'll go over that in a bit. We got new mastery. We got 5 new talents. All of these skills have been reworked, and they've also buffed and nerfed a few things, which does change the way you play Paladins. I mean, not fundamentally, but like by a decent amount, like enough to justify making it a video. That's for sure. So let's get into it. Okay, so hands down, probably the biggest change coming to Ret Paladins in BFA is the redesign of their mastery. So instead of having Judgment increases the damage of your spenders for X amount of seconds, you now have just increases all holy damage by X percentage. So you can see here I'm at like 44% increased damage to all holy damage. That includes trinkets. That includes any ability like Divine Storm, Templar's Verdict, Judgment, Hammer of Wrath. Anything that says holy damage, your mastery is going to buff. Which is, I mean, in terms of quality of life, it's huge. It's huge. And basically, I mean, it's like the old mastery, except instead of having a limited window to do your damage in, it's an infinite window that lasts forever. So, you know, you're attacking a boss, and ad spawns, your judgment's on cooldown, doesn't matter. Just press tab and start using spenders on it, and you're not losing like half your damage, which is, oh, so annoying. What this does mean is maybe in BFA, like someone's randomly spamming keys, like just literally spamming keys, it's probably going to do more damage than someone randomly spamming keys in Legion. What I'm trying to say is maybe this has lowered the Ret Paladin skill cap, so to speak, because it's just a little bit more brainless now, right? You know, there's slightly less methodical. But I think the whole judge mechanic in Legion is not really that difficult and doesn't really add much. It's more just annoying in general. And to be fair, I'm glad they're making this change. As a Ret Paladin myself, I'm glad they're making this change. Now, Judgment. So the actual ability Judgment, what does that do now? Okay, it is now single target, so it doesn't cleave at all. And on top of that, the way it works is, so you can see there, judges the target dealing damage, holy damage, causing them to take 25% increased damage taken from your next holy power spender. Okay, and this doesn't list the duration. It does have a duration. What is that, like 15-second duration? About the same cooldown. I think the cooldown is base 15 with haste. It's at 10 right now. TLDR is when you use a single spender, that is consumed. So there's no real. As long as you're pressing judge and cooldown, you're going to get value out of it, right? You don't have to like fit everything into a window anymore. You judge, you know, your primary target that you're attacking, whether it be, you know, whether you use a TV or say a Divine Storm, because you can Divine Storm. Okay, I think he just parried me. Did he just parry me? He must have just parried me, right? Yeah, he just parried me. Yeah, so that doesn't matter what you use, it'll consume things. So the primary target will take 25% more damage from the Divine Storm, and the rest of the guys will just take normal damage, etc. What that means is, you just want to be judging the target you're trying to kill, like first, right? You're going to do slightly more damage with your spenders when you're spamming Judgment. Easy. One thing that I kind of don't know if I like is the fact that, so now without the Judgment Cleave, after you lose your artifact weapon, when you're fighting 2 targets, right? When you're fighting 2 targets now in BFA, there's no incidental cleave, and it's not worth using Divine Storm on 2 targets. So, like, it's either you choose to do single target damage, or if there's more than 3 targets, you can use Divine Storm. But if there's 2 targets, it's the same as single target. You just attack the one guy. And you just do a single target rotation, and that's going to be more damage than using Divine Storm or because there's absolutely no incidental cleave anymore, and like it's binary for Rets, which I don't know if it's going to change this or not. But currently it's like, yeah, you can either choose to do, you know, single target or AOE, but there's no kind of free cleave that happens anymore. There's not a single cleave mechanic unless you're speaking to consecration. Then maybe you can count that as cleave, but I don't know when you'd ever use consecration. That's been changed as well. We'll get into that. It's kind of weird. I just kind of noticed that. Like, okay, so I either do single target, and if there's 2 targets, I just do single target. And then if there's 3 targets and I want to AoE, I can choose to AoE. just kind of crazy. Otherwise, they've also redesigned the Greater Judge talent because, I mean, they've completely redesigned Judge. Why not do Greater Judge? As you can see here, Judgment always deals critical strikes above targets that have 60% life or more. So that's pretty much the same, but it no longer cleaves or anything. It's a solid talent. I mean, it works, and it's going to be decent in single target, but I don't necessarily know if it's going to compete with the others because you have to think about the other mechanics. The new redesign here is Righteous Verdict. You might notice this is kind of similar to our Legendary Cloak because it basically is our Legendary Cloak just put into a talent. I like this. Instead of just being passive damage increase, it is now like you have to think about it and you have to play around it. It kind of sucks that it doesn't work on Divine Storm or anything, so you don't have like an AoE option on this tier. But yeah, you can see there, you just TV, and as long as you consciously make an effort to TV every 6 seconds, you're going to get 15% more damage to your TVs, which is pretty nice. Execution Sentence. It's completely redesigned. It's no longer the same as it used to be. It's now the hardest hitting spender in the game, period. And on top of that, it also has a window mechanic. So it's a 30-second cooldown that is going to increase your holy damage to the target by 25% for 10 seconds after you use it. And you can see here, it just goes instantly. There's no dot or anything. It's just like, okay, so you attack the target. And then you're gonna see me press it here. I missed. I missed. It just does a little bit of damage and puts a debuff on the target. Okay, I need to find a different dummy. Let's be real here. It's interesting, but I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Windows. Okay, I'm not a huge fan of Windows, but I feel like this will be the go-to talent if there's any sort of ads that have to die really fast or any sort of ads that take extra damage for certain periods of time. For example, King Garoth in in Legion, for example, would be a great. This talent would be amazing, right? Because you can do insane damage while they're taking more damage. OP. Fires of Justice is completely the same. Blade of Wrath received a slight buff to put it in line with Hammer of Wrath, which we're going to go over in a second here. Your auto attacks have a chance to reset the cooldown of Blade of Justice, which is it's really simple. Instead of 3 procs per minute, it's now 3.5 procs per minute. So I tested it and I couldn't really notice a difference, but I guess it just, you get reset slightly more often than you did before. Okay, now, kind of a bone to pick about this talent here. So, yeah, Blizzard added it back in Hammer of Wrath, hooray. But it doesn't really play the same as it used to. So traditionally, Hammer of Wrath has been an execute, right? Someone drops below 20% life, okay, Hammer of Wrath lights up, you press that shit, okay? And whoever gets hit by that Hammer of Wrath either procs that cheat death or dies, right? Okay, this is not that. This is like, Hammer of Wrath is a filler key that you just press when the target's in execute range. It doesn't do as much damage as Judge, doesn't do as much damage as Blade of Justice. It's kind of like just an extra filler key to use during execute range, and on top of that, during wings. I'll show you what it looks like. You can see here. So I pop wings from a Hammer of Wrath, 2k. Okay, I judge the target, 7k. It shouldn't be like that, right? There we go, another one. Okay, I missed. Good stuff, eh? Good stuff. Okay, let's go to a different dummy. But you can see here, it's cool. Because, yeah, I guess Red Paladin's another mechanic to do damage from range and everything. But at the same time, it's just not how it used to feel, man. Like, I don't like it. It's just a weak generator that you can use from range. I would love it. Okay, Blizzard, please hear me out here. Either increase the damage output and remove the holy power generation. Okay, that would make it feel really good. Or, like, double the cooldown and then double the damage. Make it like you want to use that thing every time it's up. And if someone drops below 20% life, it's going to be scary for them, right? It's an execute, not like a filler key, right? Like, come on, give us the old Hammer of Wrath back. Because this thing here is kind of beta. I mean, it's still really cool. Because, I mean, if you're in a boss fight and you know you're going to have downtime, and you've got winged up, you can biff hammers as well as you can judge them, as well as you can Blade of Justice. It's kind of similar to, I think it was Kata Ret, where we were like a range class, like almost everything was almost ranged. It was pretty busted, really. And this will be good for PvP. I can tell you that now for sure. Being able to just chuck hammers at people, judge, just half, like the majority of your keys are ranged, which is pretty crazy. Anyway, Fist of Justice, Repentance, and Blinding Light, I don't believe have been changed. They're all that's just your CC tier. Here's a new talent though, Divine Vengeance. Divine Storm has a 50% chance to refund 1 holy power if it hits 3 or more enemies. Let's test this out. If you combo it, right, with Divine Purpose, it does feel pretty good if you get really good procs with both these talents. So you can see here, I'll show you guys right now. Hopefully we can hit 3 targets here with fingers crossed. Okay, didn't proc. Never lucky. And there you go. Boom. I got 1 holy power back, and now I can just literally do this. Boom, and you just keep going. And I got another proc. Oh, actually, no, I didn't proc there. But yeah, you can see what I'm saying. It basically just increases the amount of holy power you're getting, and it means you just got a slightly faster rotation when you're doing AoE. And if you're getting lucky procs, you can do more damage. Would I choose this over, say, Wake of Ashes? No. It's like I'm not a huge fan of this. I don't know. It feels kind of underwhelming. You don't even really notice the procs. You kind of Divine Storm. You're like, oh, I got an extra holy power. Cool. It's not really that game changing. I don't know if they're going to change this, or I don't know if it actually technically scales well compared to these other talents. But you know, Wake of Ashes is that can, you know, when you press that, it completely modifies the way you play the game, right? Wake of Ashes is obviously the exact same as the artifact power. So it just does damage, stuns demons and undead enemies for 5 seconds, and gives you 5 holy power. It's on a 45-second cooldown instead of a 30-second cooldown. I'm assuming that's just to do with damage balancing. They've had to do that. But still, this is probably going to be the go-to talent, single target. You know, because you're getting the most holy power out of this compared to the other talents. And then Consecration. So Consecration is kind of funky. It's now a generator. So every 15 seconds you get 1 holy power whenever you press it. So you go in here. And you press Consecrate, and then boom, you get 1 holy power. Just it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And that's the only, technically speaking, this is the only incidental cleave you can get as a Ret Paladin right now. So like if it's, you know, say you're doing single target and it ad spawns and this is down, it's gonna do free cleave. There's nothing else that does any cleave like that in the game for Ret Pallies. I was supposed to Wake of Ashes as well, technically speaking. But yeah. This is like an interesting one. It's, again, another filler key. So I don't know. Like I haven't done testing in terms of like actual simmed DPS. Which one does more damage? I feel like Wake of Ashes feels better in single target though, and I'm thinking this is going to be specifically for AOE situations, kind of thing. Maybe it'd be good in M+ if things getting pulled and staying still. But yeah, I mean every 45 seconds you're going to get what, 3 holy power versus every 45 seconds get 5 holy power. But then you're going to do slightly more damage with this every 45 seconds, assuming that they stay in the Consecration the whole time. I don't know. I mean, it's better than the Consecration that was before. It's been redesigned and that's whatever. Cavalier, Divine Steed now has 2 charges, same as before. Unbreakable Spirit. Auto Bubble. It's gone. Okay. Auto Bubble in PvE and in PvP is huge. It was overpowered in PvP, right? Because you could effectively ride it down to 1% life and then your bubble would proc, right? Which was insane. It was cheat death, really busted. Unbreakable Spirit now just reduces the cooldown of Divine Shield of units and land hands by 30%, which is still really good. But it's not auto bubble, is it? Let's be honest here. It's just not auto bubble. This is a pretty big nerf, especially in PvE. You can't really use this as a cheat death mechanic to basically give your team an extra battle res or an extra like second life if you know that person's bad at dying. I mean, I'm a god and I use Cavalier the whole time anyway. Auto bubble's a crutch, so it doesn't really affect me. But for the other Ret Paladins out there, this is a pretty big nerf. Eye for an eye, 1 minute cooldown, 35% physical reduction. It's the only mitigation we have in terms of like as a percentage reduction. Which is it's only versus physical damage, mind you, but it's a 1 minute cooldown, which is insanely strong. If you're in a dungeon that has a lot of physical damage, this is very powerful, especially if you're doing content where things are attacking you, like questing and PvP and stuff like that. This is also really strong because that 500 physical damage is that's not a small amount. That's actually a decent amount of damage. Judgment of Light is the same as before. Justica's Vengeance. Okay, so this is the same as before, but you gotta remember, JV, if you guys remember in Legion, scales horribly, because the second you get your artifact traits, it instantly becomes worse than Templar's Verdict, and you just basically never want to use this talent unless you need to heal yourself for some reason. Maybe on like Grievous or something, right? It might be okay, but generally speaking, no one really uses this as a damage increase. But currently, as it stands in the alpha, if you were to combo Justica's Vengeance and Divine Purpose, JV is like TV, except it hits harder, right? So you can see here 2.9k damage, 5 holy power, versus Templar's Verdict, which is 2.6k damage, 3 holy power. But if you've got a Divine Purpose proc, it doesn't matter. It's free anyway, you know. So you can technically use JV combined with Divine Purpose, and it makes your rotation a little bit more complex. Gives you a self heal, and it also does more damage. Which, you know, if Divine Purpose turns out to be a viable talent for the end game, this could potentially be one of the strongest setups, because, you know, out of these traits, this is the only one that will give you a damage increase, where these are just going to be utility traits. Small point. Word of Glory now only hits 4 targets instead of 5, but the scaling is increased from 300% spell power to 400% spell power. So I like this better. It's a bigger heal for yourself. So I'm a greedy rat. So if you're playing a game, you know, you're doing M+ or whatever, it's bigger heal for yourself. So I like this change because it's yourself and 4 targets, and it scales better. Divine Purpose, exactly the same as before. Your holy power spending abilities have a 20% chance to make your next one free. Exact same as before. Crusade, slightly modified, so it replaces Avenging Wrath as the same as before. You get 3% per stack. That's damage and haste by 3% per stack, but it only stacks up to 10 times, so it stacks up a little bit faster. And now this one right here, a lot of you guys were complaining that we didn't have Inquisition. Well, guess what? Blizzard heard your cries, and you now have it back. So you can now do this. Boom. Inquisition. Damage done by 10% increased. Haste increased by 10%. And you can press that every 45 seconds. And it also does have a pandemic mechanic. So if I was to use this again, when I've already got one up, you'll see here it'll go to a minute. So you can see that. I mean, a lot of people like, consistent damage output. Inquisition will give you that. So basically, you just have to constantly maintain this buff. And as long as you maintain this, you're going to do, more consistent damage versus Crusade, which is going to be a burstier setup. And versus Divine Purpose, which is going to be a more kind of RNG sort of setup. So it's like, you kind of have RNG, like Overlords, you got burst, and then you got consistency. So depending on what you want to choose, I assume they're going to be balanced really close to each other. Well, that's what they'll be going for, is balance, because I don't want people to not pick, to only pick one talent, right? But yeah, my guess is this is going to be pretty strong early on, and I think most people will use this early on, and then later as we go into the game, it maybe won't scale as well as we get more haste on our gear, if that makes sense. But yeah, generally speaking, things that increase your haste and stuff early game are pretty huge, because you need that to reduce your GCDs and stuff. Really, it does, to be fair, I don't mind this. Like, it's to make a weak aura that says press Inquisition every 45 seconds, it's not hard, right? It really isn't, it's just an extra button to press, and it makes you do more damage. I'd say in terms of fun, I would prefer Divine Purpose. When you get lucky, it's pretty nice, but Inquisition, all around, yeah, we'll see how this goes. We'll see how this goes. In terms of other changes, let's see if I've missed everything. We talked about Mastery, Judgment, Display Ref. Oh yes, don't want to miss this. This right here. Oof. They nerfed Retribution. Like, I don't know why they don't just remove this. I get that, like, we're paladins and we're playing the Retribution spec and we're supposed to get revenge or whatever. We're gonna retake the Holy Land. I hate this. In terms of competitive PvE, every single rank 1 log, if you look at it right, if you go to Walker Vlogs right now, it's because someone died during their wings. And it's really, really annoying, because if you want to get rank 1 logs, you basically have to get someone to commit suicide just so you can do more damage. They halved this from 20 seconds to 10 seconds. So they made it, half as toxic. But still, that's still gonna be big enough to make a difference in logs. I honestly feel like this should just be disabled or removed in mythic raids. But I get it's part of the class fantasy, and it's not all about like balancing. Blizzard do want people to play an MMO and enjoy an MMO and have like a character that feels unique. But I don't know if this is the way. I'm not a huge fan. Not a huge fan. Another thing that I did not mention. So, Hammer of Wrath. Yeah. Do you notice something different? that used to be where Divine Hammer is. Okay, we no longer have a Divine Hammer. Divine Hammer is gone. You don't have it. You can't choose between using a Blade of Wrath or a Divine Hammer. You can't spec it or get it any way, shape, or form. You literally it's just gone from the game. So it was one of my favorite, generators you could have. It was like, you generate a holy power. Meanwhile, you're just constantly cleaving everyone around you, which was kind of fun. And as I said, there's just Ret Paladin literally has no incidental cleave unless you're playing consecration for some reason, or if you count Wake of Ashes, there's like some free cleave. But you don't do what you did before with like your judgments bouncing around, Divine Hammer's just cleaving stuff. Your character's just got all this free damage coming out of his ass, and now it's like you either do single target or you do AOE. It's just no cleave, and I don't know. I'm a pretty mongy kind of guy. I like the class fantasy of like just swinging around and smashing everything, but that's gone now. And another huge thing that I noticed when I was playing Ret was the fact that, I mean, this is kind of obvious, but you don't have artifact power anymore, but it's so weird. I'm so used to playing Divine Storm and shooting out Divine Storms in front of me, right? I'm so used to that. And not having that, it just feels kind of wheelchair, right? You have to like just kind of position your guy in the middle of the targets, and then just kind of you're back. It feels quite it feels like I'm playing a low-level character or something. I've just lost this big utility, because you used to have to think about where you're aiming your Divine Storms. You had to like constantly aim it, and added another mechanic or another like depth, a little bit of depth to Ret Paladins, but now that's kind of taken away. So I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of wish Blizzard would kind of just give us that one. Just redesign Blade, just quickly change the tooltip of Divine Storm. Give us the ranged Divine Storm back. All right, that'd be cool, Blizzard. Buff Hammer of Wrath. Do that, and that'll be fine and dandy. But otherwise, guys, that is pretty much it. That is the Ret Paladin redesigned. I mean, if you have any questions, queries, or whatever, if you think I've missed something, I haven't gone over every single ability, obviously, because everything else is just the same. Like, you still have the same kings, you still have the same wisdom, etc. Nothing else has really changed too much, but I mean, I think, Ret Paladins have changed enough that, it's not the same as it used to be in Legion in terms of having the whole window mechanic, and a lot of the annoying stuff has just been removed. But at the same time, I feel like we've almost been dumbed down just a tad, it's probably just a little bit easier to play Ret in this expansion. I'm not saying that was hard. I mean, yeah, we're pretty monk. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Until next time, peace the hell out, have a good day, and I will see you later.